We have a brand new national champion, and they hail from Louisville, Kentucky, as the Cardinals have defeated the Michigan Wolverines 82-76. A reminder, still ahead tonight after your late local news. Dave has actor Jeremy Renner and animal expert Jack Hanna, followed by Craig Ferguson. That's tonight only on CBS. Coming up later in our post-game show, our annual CBS Sports tribute to the NCAA tournament, One Shining Moment. Welcome back to Atlanta, Georgia, everyone. I'm Greg Gumbel, along with Greg Anthony, Doug Gottlieb, Kenny Smith, and Charles Barkley. It would be unreasonable to ask more from two teams in a championship game than what Michigan and Louisville gave us here tonight.
It was one of the best played championship games I've ever seen. Both teams were efficient. Both teams played with tremendous passion and courage. And really, at the end of the day, I thought the difference was Rick Pitino. I really thought his ability and how he micromanages his team and the decisions he made really, I thought, elevated them. And I go back to it, and I think John Beilein is a fine basketball coach. But when you allow to have your National Player of the Year, Trey Burke, sitting for 12 consecutive minutes, it's not just that he picks up a third that I was concerned about. It's the ability for Louisville to take control of the momentum with that 14-3 run that I was talking about. That was the bigger concern, and I thought that played out in the second half.
You couldn't be more right. I mean, you don't get anything on inbounds plays because they put Shane Bohannon on the inbounder defensively. His team's in incredible physical condition, and then the adjustments he made to demand that his team throw the basketball inside. You work with Shaq every Thursday night on TNT, and he always talks about throwing it into the big guy. They did. Shane Bohannon was hungry. He got 2 buckets early. Then Gorgui Dieng got a chance. They had 11 buckets out of their 16 in the second half inside the paint. That was a man's game based on how it was officiated, and Louisville just beasted Michigan down low.
Well, I thought Michigan had a fine game plan. I thought they played well. Louisville was the better team tonight, only because of a couple of reasons. I felt that in the first half, Albrecht, Hancock, they can help you win, but they're not going to put it on their shoulders to lose a game. So it was going to come down to Trey Burke and Hardaway, or it was going to come Seaver, Russ Smith, and Seaver was the difference. He put it on his shoulders and said, I will lose this game for us, or I'll win it for us, and he won it for them tonight.
There's two things that stand out to me about this game. Hancock in the first half got Louisville back in the game. That, to me, can't be understated. That little run they had where he hit all those threes, you saw Coach Beilein talk about at halftime, but I felt the second half, Shane Bohannon just dominated down low. McGarity never got going, but Shane Bohannon was a man. They couldn't keep him off the board. Those two things were the pivotal plays in the game to me.
So much happening in this game, so much to talk about. Coming up, the presentation of the NCAA National Championship Trophy to victorious Louisville when we continue. We are in the midst of a huge Louisville celebration as we welcome you back to Atlanta. Let's go back down to the court for the trophy presentation. Jim Nantz standing by with the new national champions. Jim.
I'll tell you, there's a lot of celebrating going on here. For the Louisville Cardinals, the national champions, Mike Babinski is here to represent the committee. Dr. Mark Emmert, the president of the NCAA, with the presentation of the national championship trophy.
Well, first of all, could everybody here please join me in congratulating the University of Michigan on a spectacular championship performance. What a great game. And now, Coach Pitino and the entire team, it's my great pleasure to present to this year's 2013 National Championships, the Louisville Cardinals.
Rick, we've been talking here for a minute or two about how absolutely thrilling a game this was for everyone to watch and to even coach or play in.
The University of Michigan, for a young basketball team, to play that well is absolutely incredible. They are a great basketball team. We beat a great basketball team probably because I have the 13 toughest guys I've ever coached.
Yeah, we saw that at times tonight for sure. And, Coach, I hear them. I'm picking up something here that you kind of owe them one with this victory. What's this all about?
Well, about 12, 13 games ago, all these guys, if they say hello, they get a tattoo. They said, if you win the national championship, Coach, you getting a tattoo? I said, hell yes, I'm getting a tattoo.
Hey, Coach, what a spectacular stretch this has been for you. And, of course, today it's official. Into the Basketball Hall of Fame, and at nighttime you win the national championship. How do you put this into words?
You know, all throughout my life, I've had the greatest players. Players put coaches in the Hall of Fame. Tonight, Shane Bohannon's guts on that backboard was one of the reasons why I got in.
That triple time that he went after it. Coach, the first man to ever win championships at 2 schools. Congratulations. How about Luke Hancock, ladies and gentlemen? When the team was down 12, you got on a roll and scored 14 unanswered points. Tell me about the heart of this team and how you did it tonight.
You said it best, the heart of this team. I mean, we're just went into war right there. We're against a great Michigan team. You know, we needed a rally, and we've been doing it for a couple games straight, being down, and, you know, we just had to wait and make our run.
Guess what? You've just been named the most outstanding player at the Final Four. I just got word in my ear. You are a part of history in many ways, Luke. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Peyton Siva, come over here. I've heard so many testimonials about what you've meant to this program by that man over there who's coached you. How do you put this into words, being a champion?
First off, I just got to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for, you know, blessing us with this opportunity. I thank God, and, you know, without my teammates, without my parents, my girlfriend over there, my sister, my brothers, none of this would be possible. I'm just thankful for God for this.
It's been a great pleasure watching you play. Going out with a championship. Congratulations, Peyton. And lastly, the young man who inspired this team, Kevin Ware. Kevin, how about for you this weekend, what the reaction, the outpouring's been like, and how your teammates have reacted to you at the Final Four on their way to winning a championship, inspired by you?
It's not about me, you know. I've never been that type of guy, you know. These guys came out here and played a great Michigan team, and these are my brothers, you know. They got the job done, and I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of them.
You try to tell people about this team, how close this group is. I'll give you the last word about your national championship team. How close are you guys, and what does this mean, this win here tonight?
You would think we were all came out the same woos, honestly. We're brothers, and if brothers glorify the word, then that's exactly what we are.
Congratulations, Kevin, being such a big part of all of this. The Louisville Cardinals, the national champions, 2013, as we send it back to Greg Gumbel.
If you are wondering about Luke Hancock being the most outstanding player since Kevin Ware's injury, he was 13 of 18 from the field shooting with 52 points. Tonight, he tied a career-high 22. Louisville winning the national championship, and will continue with much more from Atlanta, Georgia, right after this. A reminder for you, coming up tonight here on CBS after your late local news, The Late Show with David Letterman and The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson only. CBS, and still to come as we continue live from Atlanta, our special tribute to the NCAA tournament, One Shining Moment. As they cut the nets down here in Atlanta, Werner Ladder is proud to donate to the General Scholarship Fund of every school in this year's Final Four. And to honor 75 years of March Madness, Werner has created a commemorative ladder for this year's net cutting ceremony. Werner, the official ladder of the NCAA basketball championships. Rick Pitino, what a weekend, what a night it has been for the coach of Louisville.
Yeah, unbelievable. You go in the Hall of Fame, your son becomes a head coach at Minnesota, you win a national championship, and you're going to get a tattoo. So
and you're going to go to the Kentucky Derby.
And he's going to the Kentucky Derby where he has a horse that's going to race. But Charles made the point, and I thought Coach Pitino validated. Shane Bohannon was a grown man tonight. His ability to, in essence, dominate the paint. We talk a lot about the three-point shots, but folks, there's a reason why there's 3 seconds in the paint, because ultimately that's where championships are decided, and he was a decision maker tonight in the paint.
So much of it's about conditioning. I don't know if you guys know this, but the assistant coaches, everybody on staff at Louisville, has to meet with the trainer and lower their body fat, train at 5:36 in the morning, all the way to the team. That team is in incredible physical condition, and they beat teams based upon the fact that they don't believe they're ever tired. They weren't tired in the second half.
To me, there's no one player that wins a national championship and no one player. It's a team. So I'm going to shout out Van Treese, Morrow, Buffo, Price, Harold, Bond, who didn't play much, but their contributions in practice have got these guys prepared to win a national championship.
Well, listen, Hancock deserved MVP. He was great Saturday. I'll say it again. His first half, when he got the 14-0 run to get the game back to 1 point ahead, that to me was the difference in the game. But the big difference, Shane Bohannon physically imposed his will on the Michigan Wolverines. Those two guys were amazing tonight.
John Beilein's going to have a lot of sleepless nights over not putting Trey Burke back in the game late in that first half when they had complete control.
Yeah, because even Hancock makes the shots, but the point about Burke is his presence on the floor will never allow you to go on a 14-3 run.
It's time management, Greg.
That's the thing about that. It's not so much that you worry. I'd rather have him with 3 fouls and be up 10 or 12 than him with 2 and basically be in a tie game that we dominated for 15 minutes.
Yeah, but in fairness to him, they had a 12-point lead. They had a 12-point lead. And that's when Hancock hit all the threes. And at that point, it was probably too late to put him back in there.
Well, my point being, Charles, is when you're a consensus All-American, when you're a great point guard, you know how to manage a run. You know how to slow things down and get the pace so when they make that run, it can go to 6.
Charles, you know how many fouls Trey Burke ended up with? He ended up with 2 fouls. So great, you saved him, but you lost the championship.
No. But the point I want to make is they had a big lead when he took him out the game. Hancock hit 4 fours in a row, and they happened so quickly. He didn't have
Chuck, you're right. You made the point. But Chuck, I understand your point. The point that I'm trying to make, though, he's the national player of the year.
And he's
also a point guard. If there's any player you can have in the game, it's a point guard who's that good.
He hit those threes so quickly, and then by that time, it was too late to
Chuck, you get 5 timeouts. You get 5 fouls. Use both of them.
Hey, the house was on fire. The house was on fire.
And the kids couldn't get out.
You just got to get out.
Couldn't get out.
It was too late.
Guys, let me interrupt you here for just a moment. As we watch the Louisville Cardinals cutting the nets down, everybody's wondering about Kevin Ware. Is he going to get up there? There has been conversation about whether or not the Werner Ladder folks were going to elevate him or whether the NCAA was going to bring the net down. But he is waiting his turn in one way or another. Kevin Ware is about to cut down his part of the net. And, you know, you wonder about what impact his injury had on this team. All it did was give a very talented team another reason to win.
It's a great point. Personally, I go back to the year we won a national championship. I broke my jaw in 2 places and my chin, and all I could think about was trying to find a way to help my team. And I think that's what Kevin Ware was able to do a little bit differently. It wasn't his ability on the floor, but it was his inspiration off the floor that I think really helped to really motivate his group.
Here's Kevin Ware. For that young man.
The 2 things out of that injury, one, how they just appeared so united. We're all sitting in studio, the entire nation was aghast, and yet they seemed to bond together. It was amazing. And then Tim Henderson who replaced him. And think about this, guys. Obviously he was missed. but Tim Henderson, a walk-on, hits the 2 big threes the other night when they're down 12. Otherwise, they're not even here tonight. Just a magical run for Louisville.
People could, as much as you think
Still to come.
about
One
how he
shining
inspired.
moment as we continue live from Atlanta, Georgia in just a moment. Classier in defeat than John Beilein, and Tracy Wolfson is with Coach Beilein.
Coach, first, about the end of the game, you had 2 fouls to give, and you let 21 seconds off the clock. Why not foul quicker?
Well, we were trying to foul the right guy as quickly as we could, but we probably could have fouled a little quicker, yes.
I could see the guys in the locker room. No reason to hang their heads. Just a tremendous season by this young team. What can you say about the effort they put out throughout the year?
What they were doing this year was incredible. You know, when you taught the amount of experience that we had out there, and just learning and getting better every day and it was just a pleasure to coach them. I said there's been 96 teams at Michigan. There's been great coaches at Michigan. I'm telling you, I wish every coach could have the opportunity to coach Team 96 with these guys right here. They're absolutely terrific.
How much does it make you look forward to the future with this team?
I've been saying this no matter what happened in this NCAA tournament. This future is so bright. These young men, the classes coming in with their facilities, the whole thing, everything is going in the right direction.
Thank you so much. Great season, Coach.
Thanks, Tracy. Thank you.
Tracy, thank you. You get the feeling Michigan basketball is in good hands in the future, don't you? Don't forget, still ahead tonight after your late local news. Stay tuned for The Late Show with David Letterman. Dave has actor Jeremy Renner and animal expert Jack Hanna, followed by Craig Ferguson. That's tonight only on CBS. CBS Sports coverage of the Masters begins with late-night highlights this Thursday and Friday. All world. For the Cardinals, this is their 3rd national championship. Our congratulations to head coach Rick Pitino, the first man to win titles at 2 different schools. We also applaud Coach John Beilein and the Michigan Wolverines, who enjoyed an outstanding season. As we get set to say so long from Atlanta, we culminate our celebration of 75 years of NCAA March Madness with the 2013 edition of One Shining Moment.
And there you are, you're running for your life, you're a shooting star. In all the years, no one knows just how hard you worked. Now it shows in one shining moment, it's all on the line. In one shining
I ask you guys to be fighters. You know what I saw out there? Muhammad Ali.
The time is short and the road is long. In the blinking of an eye, that moment's gone. And when it's done, win or lose, you always did your best. 'Cause inside you knew that in one shining moment you reached deep inside. Feel the beat of your heart, feel the wind in your face. It's more than a contest, it's more than
Puts up the shot, and he hits it with 0.2 seconds to go. Wow. Harvard has stunned New Mexico. Oladipo from downtown. Burke moves it down. 5 seconds. Fires for 3. And the game is tied.
All he kept saying, win the game. Win the game. Pretty special young man. Really, really proud of these guys.
All set for the championship matchup. Unreal. Louisville There's the lob to Siva. Louisville completes the emotional journey to the championship.
On your 2013 NCAA Men's Basketball Championship. Now you can celebrate the Cardinals National Championship with the official gear from NCAA.com/shop, the official store of the NCAA. From hats to t-shirts for men, women, and kids, NCAA.com/shop has all your championship accessories. Get your official University of Louisville National Championship gear now, only at NCAA.com/shop.
Don't miss Dave's exclusive interview.
And that will do it as Louisville completes the emotional journey to the championship.
Good evening, I'm Vicki Dortch. Louisville does it. They haven't hung a banner since 1986, and once again, the Louisville Cardinals are the national champions. Let's go live now to looks like downtown Louisville there, where News Chopper is high above the scene, and the Cardinal fans, I'm sure, are celebrating down there. We also have live team coverage from Atlanta. Rick and Fred are standing by live outside the Georgia Dome. You can see the throngs of people there standing in Louisville. Let's go take it to Atlanta, see if the guys are ready there to tell us how the Louisville faithful is celebrating outside the Georgia Dome. Guys, great game.
Yes, it was.
Hey, Vicki D. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to Atlanta, where Planet Red is in heaven tonight with a third national championship.
It was something, and to be in that arena when they finally knew that it was over, Peyton Siva sprinted to the foul line to seal it with 12 seconds to go. He wanted those free throws. He did it. He came through big for the Cards. His line tonight, Fred, was amazing. Not only did he score, he had assists, he had rebounds, and steals, 4 steals, making him the all-time leader for the single season.
More on all that in a minute. First, let's go live to the Michigan podium. Post-game reaction from the Wolverines losing to the Cardinals.
Sit down and you won a national championship. I was thinking it's been a damn long time. Go Cards!
We're knocking down free throws.
That just sums it up. We are the champions. Shane Bohannon, a beast today, 15 points, 12 rebounds. He really went to war when the Cardinals needed him the most.
No question, the official attendance is 74,326 in the new national championship game record. Luke Hancock, the most outstanding player, having 22 points tonight after having 20 in the national semifinal. But my personal favorite tonight was Peyton Siva in his final game as a Cardinal, played arguably his best game as a Cardinal, and that's really saying something. Just some amazing numbers, Rick. He ended with 18 points, 6 rebounds, plus 5 assists, plus 4 steals. I mean, that's pretty amazing when you consider he was going against some of the best guards in the country, especially Trey Burke.
Oh, and Trey Burke started out, he was on fire. So was the entire Michigan team. But like we've seen them throughout this tournament, they have heart, the Louisville Cardinals do. They have fight in them. They never give up.
We're going to be here for the next couple of hours. You are looking at a live picture from Chopper Bill and News Chopper 32 as he's high over the skies of Louisville, KY, as the people are celebrating, Rick Van Hoos.
Oh, this celebration will go on to the wee hours in the morning. Celebrating in Louisville. The streets are about to turn red here in Atlanta as they file out of the Georgia Dome. Louisville, national champions. Go ahead, what?
As they watch that picture over Louisville, This is a 16-game winning streak to finish the season. St. John's, South Florida, Seton Hall, DePaul, Syracuse, Cincinnati, Notre Dame, Villanova, Notre Dame again, Syracuse, North Carolina A&T, Colorado State, Oregon, Duke, and finally Wichita State, and tonight, Michigan. I mean, wow!
It was a great run. Drew Douglas has been in all the madness in Louisville. Let's check in with him. Drew?
Rick, Fred, I got 5,000 new friends here at Cardinal Boulevard. The rush of people that came out as that final buzzer sounded was unbelievable. Listen to these guys. They've been chanting. They've been having fun. For the most part, people have been responsible. We've seen a few things on fire. We've seen some fireworks. It's been a lot of fun. Cardinal Town is now championship town down here on Cardinal Boulevard. The place has been mobbed from start to finish, and we're having a blast down here. I got my personal protectors around here, so it doesn't get too rowdy for me because it has been nuts for the last 45 minutes. And like you mentioned, this thing could last till 3, 4, 5 in the morning. They're having fun. Can we get a Cards chant? There you go, guys. That's how it's been the last 45 minutes, non-stop noise. Let's send it back to you guys in Atlanta.
That's one thing you do not have to ask for. Can we get a Cards cheer? I'm telling you, it's been about 1,000 times, and there'll be 1,000 more throughout the night. CARDS tonight.
We have waited a long time for this, and the statistics of the game are just staggering when you look at it. I mean, Shane Bohannon, 15 points and 12 boards. I mean, this is heady stuff. I mean, 6 win over Michigan in the final here in Atlanta. They're at the podium now. We're going to listen in. You've got live coverage on WLKY.
And Luke started playing a lot more minutes. We became a great half-court offensive basketball team, and tonight was as good as it gets. They executed almost every play to perfection. They mixed it up well. Can't tell you how proud I am of the guys, of the moment. 16 straight games from a 5 overtime, sharing a regular Big East championship in its last year, a tournament championship at Madison Square Garden, and then a run to the national championship. It's just, for us, been an incredible run with just the most wonderful young men I've had the pleasure to be around. I'm so proud of them.
Peyton, Luke, and Shane all named to the all-tournament team, with Luke the most outstanding player. We're looking for questions for our student-athletes, and the first one goes to Myron, right on the aisle to the left in the front.
This is for Peyton and Luke. You all obviously know Shane and how he started the year, had the suspension. What does today say about his evolution as a player and a person?
Well, Shane is a great player, and Coach P just kept telling him this for these last 16 games. Shane, you got to rebound. Shane, you got to rebound. And we watched countless hours of film on Kenneth Fareed, and, you know, Shane told me before the game, he was like, just say thank you. And I was like, what? He's like, just say thank you. And I was like, all right, thank you. And he came out today and was a man amongst boys on the board, and he started padding his stats a little bit, tried to miss his layups and get it back, but he played terrific tonight.
Shane.
I agree. I mean, you know, he's developed as a player, but he's developed as a person too. You know, Shane's one of our leaders out there, and you know, he showed it tonight. You know, he said he was going to take care of the boards, and that's what he did. Just stepped up, and he was a leader.
Next question in the center, Rick.
For Luke, Rick Bozich, WDRB. You guys are down 12. You hit 4 threes in a row at the end of the first half. What was going through your mind during that point? And I think you most points scored by a sub in the championship game in 49 years.
Yeah, right. I get to shave. That's a good one. But I just try to play off Russ and Peyton. You know, and Wayne today. You know, they're so good at getting you open shots. You know, Gorgie found me up for a couple of those, I think. But you know, I just try to play with them. You know, they're the guys who are usually scoring all the points. If I can step in and hit an open shot or just try to help out, I do. But you know, Russ and Peyton lead the show, and I just try to play off of them.
Next question in the front.
Steve Futterman from CBS. I'd like to start with Peyton, then Luke, then Shane. Talk a bit about what this actually means to you. It's the goal at the start of the year. There's a struggle, there's pain, there's disappointment, but in the end you did it. Tell me what this means to you. What's going through your heart and mind right now, each of you?
Peyton.
Well, I just got to thank God for blessing me with this opportunity. And, you know, winning this game,
the whole game, Coach Pitino just kept saying, "You're out of shape, son. You're out of shape. You need to dig in." And I kept trying to tell him I got bruises all over my legs, Coach, from getting hit. And he wouldn't listen to me. But it just feels amazing to get this win. Playing for a great guy, off the court from coaching, just for a great father figure like Coach P is just truly amazing. I babysit his kids, his grandkids, and so it's just truly amazing to get this win for him. And I'm just truly blessed.
Luke? I agree. Just, blessed to be in this situation. I'm just so happy for our team. I'm happy that multiple guys got to contribute on this great run. Everybody from Tim Henderson on, he was huge last game, and it's just great for our team. I'm just so happy for these guys.
Shane?
I also agree. It's a one-time thing in life. You never know if you get this opportunity again. So we just left everything out there on the court, and for me, it's just a dream come true. Because just coming where I come from, Cincinnati, Ohio, in the area I grew up in, you just any kid that want to trade places with me today, and just for me to have the opportunity to, come out here and show my talent and win a national championship with my brothers, it's just unbelievable. And I love these guys like they my real brothers. So that's it. It's just a dream come true.
The next question's in the section on the right.
Luke, you got McGarry up in the air for what turned out to be a big play, and you were shot faking everybody all weekend pretty effectively. Could you describe that play and also that particular move? Is that one of your favorite things, and how much do you work on it?
I missed the free throws, so that's what I was mad about. Missed the first two. It's not something you really practice on. We do ball fakes in individuals, but you don't really practice leaning into somebody and trying to get a foul. It ended up helping us out, putting Trey Burke on the bench, but I don't know how much help it was because Spike came in and killed us for a while. It's not something you don't work on, jumping into Mitch McGarry. He's huge, and when he came at me, he just kind of hit me. So.
The next question's to the extreme left, Pete.
This is for Luke. Pete Thamel from Sports Illustrated. Luke, I wonder if you could reflect a little bit on your journey. You're a guy who really wasn't recruited out of high school, barely recruited out of prep school. You're standing up there with the trophy now, and to compound that with the personal emotion of what your dad's going through this week. And I wonder if you can reflect a little bit on the journey.
On all of that? I wasn't recruited real high out of high school. I went to prep school and picked up several offers. George Mason recruited me, Coach Larinaga, and made me feel like I was at home at George Mason, so I went there. And then I ended up needing to transfer when he left. And Coach Keats and Coach Pitino really made this feel like a home and like we'd be, have a chance to win a national title. And that's why I did it. But I'm so excited for our team to be in this situation, to finally be here. It's been a long road. And, there's really no way to describe how it feels that my dad was here. It's hard to put into words. I'm so excited that he was here. It just means a lot.
The next question is in the back on the right. Dan?
Dan Walken, USA Today Sports. For any of you who want to jump in on this, you guys have come back a number of times this year, but the way Spike Albrecht was kind of landing haymakers, did it feel different at all from other deficits you had earlier this year?
Shane wants that first.
All right. Well, yeah, it kind of did feel different because he was hitting them back-to-back, going to the rim on us. And like you said, we've been in a situation like this before. For example, Syracuse game back in the Big East, we was down 15 at half. And, in this game, it felt like we wasn't going to get over. We knew we was going to get over the hump, but it just felt like when they had all the momentum going for them, it just felt like, we weren't going to, come over the hump. But, as a positive coach that Coach Pitino is in the huddle, he just kept telling us, dig in, stop the three. We're going to make our run. And that's when Luke came, hit four threes back-to-back. And I think that's what changed the game for us going into halftime.
Luke, same question.
Obviously this is a bigger game, means a lot more. And, I was nervous. Them how much momentum they had and how well they were playing. And we know how great of a team Michigan is. So, it definitely makes you nervous, but luckily, we were able to come back, and our pressure ended up wearing them down a little bit, I think.
Okay. Next question's in that same area toward the back.
Shane, Dan Newsman from USA Today Sports. How much did the
idea of winning it for Kevin and getting him up to cut down the nets. How much was that a motivator tonight?
It was a big motivator for us. I mean, just for the simple fact that I think Kevin Ware would do anything to be back out there. I mean, we just all locked in for him, and also for ourselves and our coaching staff, and also for our fans and our family. So, I mean, Kevin was a big part of this team, and to see him go down like he did was just, devastating. So, it was a big motivator for us.
Let's go to the left on the aisle.
Yeah, this is for all three guys. Mark James from 610 The Fan, WFNZ in Charlotte. What does it mean to you guys to win the national championship this year after your arch rival Kentucky won it last year?
Peyton, take that first.
Well, for us to win this national championship is just a truly blessing from God. We don't look at it as, who won it last year. We're living in the present, and we got this win for our team. And I told somebody earlier, this is really what a team is. This is really what college basketball is about, a group of guys who are like family. With Kevin Ware going down like that and everybody rallying around him, it really showed how much we love each other and how much of a family we are. And, that's just the main thing about it. We're just truly blessed to even be here with this national championship trophy.
Luke?
We're just, as a team, we're just blessed to be in this situation. That's what we're worried about. I'm so happy for these guys, for my teammates. That's what we're thinking about. And I'm just, love these guys, coaches, our fans, and everything, like Peyton said.
Shane?
What Luke said.
The next question's on the far left.
Marcel Friedrich from the German media. Question for Coach Pitino. It was a big story with Kevin with the injury. Do you think when you rate it in big stories in U.S. sports, do you think is it one of the biggest, winning the title in the end?
We're going to come back to questions for Coach Pitino in just a moment. We're going to do the student athletes right now, but we'll get you right away. We're going to go toward the back on the right.
Hi, Jim Militello from Associated Press. This is for Peyton. It almost seemed like you were back here. It almost seemed like you were particularly energized in the second half and you wanted to take control of the game. Could you just tell us what was going on in your mind and did, in fact, you want to be the guy that got things going?
Well, this is why I love Coach P so much. At halftime, he kept asking me, it's like, do you know the plays? You keep looking over at me and asking me what play to run. And I told him, yeah, I know the plays. And, so in the second half, he let me, call the plays, what I saw out there in the court. And that's what I just try to do. I try to be an extension of him and just try to gather my guys and just get them in the right position. As a point guard for this team, it's just my duty to, create good shots, take care of the ball, and, play good defense. And Coach P just kept telling me, dig in, dig in, dig in. And that's what I try to do. Just dig in, play good defense. They was knocking down some difficult shots in the first half. And, luckily we wore them down and, it took effect on them. And we got a big win tonight.
Final two questions for the student athletes. First one's on the left.
It's Bob Kravitz with the Indianapolis Star for Peyton and Luke. Do you have any suggestions as to what Rick ought to do in terms of a tattoo?
Get my name.
As far as the tattoo, at the beginning of the year, it's like, if you guys win, I'll get a tattoo. And we was like, oh, yeah, we're going to get Coach P a tattoo. And it was just crazy to even think about it. But we won. And so, he's a man of his word. So I told some reporters he got to get a lower back tattoo, but he's probably going to get it in his higher back. He was asking us, does it hurt? Does it sting? And I told him I wouldn't know. I don't have any tattoos. So
I don't either. Go ahead.
I actually don't have any tattoos, but yeah, he's got a couple ideas. We're gonna make sure it happens. I don't think he knew what he was getting into when he signed up for that one.
I think that was our biggest motivation, was to get Coach P a tattoo.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Final question on the right, Greg.
Logan from Newsday for Peyton. I think a lot of times you would lay back a little bit if Russ had it going. And did that have something to do with the way you took over down the stretch? And also, can you explain what it was like to kind of go mano-a-mano back and forth with Burke like that?
Well, Russ, he was taking the same shots he usually take, and they just weren't falling. And, tonight wasn't his night. He carried us this whole way, and without him, we definitely wouldn't be here. But in the second half, I seen a lot of openings and a lot of, chances to go in and attack, and that's what I try to do. And, as far as, getting a mano-a-mano match with Trey Burke, I was just trying to win the game. I wasn't trying to get into head-to-head competition with him. And, I know he's such a great player, such a talented young guy. And, that's why I went up to him after the game and gave him a big hug. I was like, man, you're, a great player. And, told him I met his family earlier at the Hall of Fame thing and just how amazing they are. So I told him keep his head up. He has a bright future ahead of him. And, I was just trying to get this win for my team.
We'd like to congratulate and thank Peyton, Luke, and Shane for joining us here. They're going to head back to the Louisville locker room, which is still open. This note, before we get to Coach Pitino, Luke Hancock is the first non-starter to be named Most Outstanding Player at the Final Four. Research back to 1939 from the NCAA record book and Sports Reference. The first non-starter to be named the Most Outstanding Player at the Final Four. Research back to as far as 1939. Congratulations. First question for Coach Pitino. Let's go back to the gentleman on the left.
Sorry, I didn't know the rule. It was a big story with Kevin with his injury. Of course, in U.S. sports, there are so many big stories over the years. How would you rate this thing finally winning the title?
Well, the guys, after the incident, we knew Kevin was going to be okay. He was then a member of the team. And 4 years ago, we built a brand. I felt if you stay at a school, you got to change your brand. And our brand was going to be Louisville first. Everything we do is for our university, for our team, for our city, and not for ourselves. And that brand is the reason we won tonight. Kevin, without question, I'm not sure I could have, or the players, gotten over that emotional trauma if he didn't say to me, Coach, I'll be fine. We've got to win the game. And he said it 3 times. I said, hold on, I got everybody in. I'm not sure any of us could have beaten a great team like Duke unless he gathered us all together. From there, there's so many plots, we don't get to the final game if a walk-on doesn't step up and hit 2 gigantic threes. And as soon as we started playing Luke Hancock more, our half-court offense evolved into something that was very special. And Luke is certainly another playmaker along with Peyton.
We're going to go to the front on the right, Myron.
Coach, Shane obviously started the year with the suspension, and you talked about having to rein him in. What does this game say about just his ability to focus and his evolution as a player?
First and foremost, it's no serious matters that they get suspended for. Serious enough to get suspended, but it's something that I'm a big believer in fun. I'm a big believer in discipline. I'm a big believer in love. And Shane just needed to grow up, as well as Kevin, mature as an adult. But I'll tell you something about Shane Bohannon. When the chips are down and things don't go well, that young man rises to a new level. There's no question. I just knew it. When I looked at him today, he shook my hand and said, don't worry about me. I'll bring it tonight. And he always rises in big games because he's 6'6", 6'7", and he was a monster tonight.
Next question's on the right, Mike.
Mike DeCourcy from Sporting News. You've coached long enough to be named to the Hall of Fame today. Have you seen teams with this kind of chemistry before? And is there something that you do in either attracting the players or in the way you coach them that builds a chemistry and a bond like these guys have?
I think when you work as hard as we work, it builds a foundation of love and discipline because you have to suffer together. You're always pressing. I knew Peyton. I was all over Peyton the entire night. I thought he'd have to play 38 minutes. He was pressing, running. I knew he was exhausted, and I just kept saying, you're out of shape, man. You're out of shape. And he looked at me, and he knew what I was getting at. I said, you got to dig in, Manfred. You got to dig in. I know what you're doing, but you're not in the shape I thought you were. And I just had to keep prodding him because watching him, I was out of gas watching him. And he just gave a brilliant performance, not only from a playing standpoint, from a leadership, from a conditioning standpoint. He was absolutely off the charts awesome.
Next question is for Jeff.
Jeff Goodman, CBS Sports. Rick, with everything you've been through over the last few years, just the emotions, when the buzzer sounded, when you were hugging your wife, when you were hugging the kids, just talk a little bit about that and what it was like.
You never know how you're going to feel when you get such a special moment like the Hall of Fame. And all afternoon I was just reflecting and thinking. And tonight I gathered my family at the end, and I presented my sister-in-law. I said, this is the most important item I have in my life, but it's now yours. And we've had a rough go, our family. Mary Minotti, the youngest one of the Minottis, her husband went to a retirement party in New York. And the man who was retiring didn't have a way home. He gave him his car voucher. In downtown New York, Dawn started hailing a taxi, got hit by a taxi, and died. And then 5 months later, she lost her brother in 9/11. She's had her, unlike Stephanie, who I've been able to be an uncle to her children. She lives 4 homes down. She had to work. She has no money. She has to work her tail off, raise 3 children, put them through college with no help at all. So I just told her tonight, I said, I'm not the Hall of Fame, Mary. You're the Hall of Fame. And this is the most special thing that's happened to me personally, and I want you to have it. And I gave it to her on the court. So we're a family that's had a lot of difficult times, but that being said, no one celebrates like the Patinos and the Minottis. No one. Whether it's, we celebrate together. My children, they have a lot of Irish in them, the way they celebrate.
The next question's on the right, Dana.
Dana O'Neill, ESPN.com. Rick, with time and perspective, what changes in your emotions for this one than from the last one that you won?
Well, in '96, I just had to control the egos and get them to understand it's not about the pros, it's about winning a championship. I had a great team, one of the best teams in the history of college basketball. This team is one of the most together, toughest, hard-nosed teams. We played a great team the other night in Wichita State and got outplayed for about 34 minutes of the game. But this team, being down, never bothers us. They just come back. And in the tournament, we became a great half-court team strictly because we played Luke Hancock more minutes. Gorky Zhang was brilliant tonight. 6 assists. He played terrific. I want to encourage all my guys to put their name in the draft. Just get the experience of trying out, whether they do it or not get an agent. I mean, guys like Russ, Shane, Gorgie. I want them to learn the experience. Probably 2 of them will come back. One may go, because they deserve the experience, the amount they worked. You know, when we lost to Notre Dame, I said, guys, we never panic. I said, but mentally, you've got to become a great basketball team, not just physically. Your superior conditioning, your willingness to work hard is great, but you're making too many mental mistakes. I said, now, I gave them very demanding goals. I said, it's not probable what I'm about to say to you, but I think it's possible. I think we can win the next 7 games, go into the most special arena in America and win the tournament in Madison Square Garden, and then go on, be a #1 seed, and win the national championship. So we talked about it. We were quite open about it. And when you set demanding goals, you really do have to focus in and pay attention to that. And that was our goals right after the Notre Dame game. They were down, and I said, you shouldn't be down. Give them credit, and here's what we're going to do. And to be honest with you, I'm just so amazed that they could accomplish everything that we put out there. I'm absolutely amazed as a basketball coach.
Next question's back right, Steve.
Coach, if I could just clarify, Steve Politi from the Star Ledger, if I could just clarify first, what was it that you gave your sister-in-law?
The Hall of Fame jersey that I got, it was, like I said, probably the most special thing I've ever gotten in my life. But to me, she's the Hall of Famer. The tough luck she's had in life. And another thing she's also done, you know, she was an alcoholic from everything that's happened, and she's been sober for 10 years. So just her courage, I wanted her to have it, something special. I'm so proud of her as a mom, so proud of her as everything she's had to go through. So she's the Hall of Famer in our family.
And just as part of in the heat of the game, can you appreciate what we all did, just how great of a game it was?
You know, that's the great thing about it. Sometimes expectations get so high. I knew it would be a great game. You never know you're going to win, but the other night, I knew the Michigan-Syracuse wouldn't be a great game, and I knew our game against against Wichita State was not going to be a great game because of the type of defense Syracuse and Wichita plays. All their games, low percentages. I knew this game would be a great game. Two great offensive teams doing battle, two great backcourts, great front courts, great talent, and I was so happy to see that because I knew it would be a great game. Didn't know we'd win, but I knew it would be a great game.
Next question's all the way back to the right.
Kyle Tucker, Courier-Journal. Forgive me if you've already addressed this, but what did it mean to you to watch that basket come down to Kevin Ware's level on his crutches, and he reaches up, cuts the nets down, sticks them up in the air, and the place kind of goes crazy for him?
You know, it's been such a roller coaster of emotions. I don't think in my lifetime I've ever witnessed anything like that. You know, I've been around where guys blow out their ACLs, but I've never seen such affection and such spontaneous emotion. After the fact, I look back on it and I say, man, that was really, really special. I was glad to be part of this team.
Final question on the left for Pete.
Rick, Pete Thamel from Sports Illustrated. In '96, when you won, you had, I think, 9 pros, maybe 6 first-round picks, something like that. College basketball's changed a lot since then. A guy like Luke, who was barely recruited, wins the most outstanding player off the bench. Henderson, you know, sparks you last game. Can you talk a little bit about just how this team is indicative of the evolution of college basketball?
You know, I think the game today is much better than it was in '96 for this reason. It's always about the athletes and the student athletes. Now, I'm one that would love to see the guys, you know, go back to seeing, you know, all the UCLA players come back and graduate and do all of that. But it's so exciting because Coach Wooden's teams, they were laid out who was going to win. Some of Dean Smith's teams, some of the Kentucky teams. You knew they were going to win. My team in '96. You had no idea who was going to win going in this tournament. And I think that's so much fun as long as the game is well played. And tonight was a great championship game. They were tremendous, and we had to beat a tremendous team. My tenure in coaching, I've never seen the guys, the amount of games that I coached in this tournament, I've never seen such brilliance from the guys on the sidelines that I coached against. And some of the guys like Dana from Oregon, Larry Eustace, Cy from our first game, A&T, and tonight, and Wichita State coach was phenomenal. I've never been around coaching with this type of excellence in my coaching tenure. So I'm real proud to be part of this fraternity, but I think the game is great right now. Now we do have to tweak it to where everybody's not just taking off and drawing offensive fouls, and we've got to make it where 80% of those are blocks. And then we've got to we've got to create more freedom of movement. I told you the story last time I was here that, you know, we averaged 116.8 points per game with the Knicks, and everybody but one team, I think, was over 100 per game. Then David Stern wanted to do something about it because there wasn't enough scoring. Now the pro game is awesome because they stopped all the fouling. They allowed freedom of movement. The LeBrons of the world can truly be great players because they're not being chucked everywhere. And now that's our next step of evolution in the college game. We got to stop all the hitting and the fouling and the flopping. And I think with the story of tonight, where a Kevin Ware can rally the troops to beat Duke with the greatest coach, one of the 2 greatest coaches in the history of our game. He was responsible for rallying us against Coach K, who's the best in our game. And when Tim Henderson, a walk-on, can carry you through to a championship game, and then these guys to rally for a championship against a great team tonight, is something really, really special. It just happened to happen to us, but it's really special.
Thank you very much, Coach, and congratulations.
Thank you, everybody.
That was Rick Pitino, the U of L basketball head coach, a live post-game coverage and Hall of Famer as of today.
I mean, you know, what we were kind of counted out a few years ago, and to be able to come back from that was certainly very difficult, and fought through it, and extremely, extremely proud. Just he showed so much will to get through that, and we're really proud of him.
How much of that will comes from your dad?
Oh, so much of it. I mean, it's so much. All the strength comes from my mom, my dad, and the very strong family. And you know, hopefully we'll get to celebrate a little bit.
What was that moment like right there?
was a great moment. I mean, it meant a lot just to, you know, we've had some tough times, especially with my aunts and losing some people like everybody has. And to be able to share that type of moment on this stage is really special.
Prouder for those kids. You know, Coach has had a lot of accolades for his entire career, and getting that honor this morning, going in the Hall of Fame is just fabulous. But to see these kids and what they did is unbelievable.
So Kentuckians now consider Louisville the premier all-around sports.
All I care about is that we want to be tonight. I really don't give a damn. We want to be the best we can be.
Can you get to New Orleans?
What's that?
How are you getting to New Orleans?
We'll fly there tomorrow.
This is the kind of run you only dream of, like this.
Yeah, but you're right. But, you know, the one motto we have in our department is we stay humble and we stay hungry. And I think this team was a great example of it.
What's the next step after this?
Trying to win another. Trying to win one tomorrow.
82-76, the final. Glad to have you with us in Atlantic Station, the heart of Atlanta. Jay Williams, Seth Greenberg, and Jay Billis with me. Louisville had the big run late in the first half to sort of get back in the game, but the second half, Jay, I thought was really dominated by Shane Bohannon in many ways. He had 11 of his 12 rebounds in the second 20 minutes.
Yeah, he had 7 offensive rebounds. I thought that Louisville dominated the paint, not just with the big guys, Shane Bohannon and Gorgie Jang, but Peyton Siva got into the paint off that high ball screen in transition. He really attacked the paint, and then they attacked the glass. We talked before the game about extra possessions, getting them off turnovers, and then the offensive glass. And Bohannon, those 7 offensive rebounds were extra possessions, and they were big buckets. It wasn't like there was no contact in there. I mean, there was a lot of contact that went uncalled, and he was going through contact and finishing plays. And we talked about, I thought Peyton Siva was magnificent in the second half. I mean, he made a mistake here or there, but so what? I mean, he had 4 steals for the game, 14 points in the second half, 18 overall. He was phenomenal.
Yeah, I thought Peyton Siva and Luke Hancock in the first half kept them in the basketball game. Luke Hancock matching basket for basket with Spike Albrecht. Who would have ever thought that? But in the second half, Shane Bohannon at the beginning of the second half, he was a grown man. His ability to come up with 50-50 balls and his ability to get him some inside scoring. But I thought during the course of the 40-minute game, I thought Peyton Siva, his steady leadership, his ability to maintain his head while Russ Smith was really struggling, was huge for Louisville. If you think about it, in the semifinal game, Peyton Siva struggled. Russ Smith played at a very high level. They traded places, but they still found a way to win.
You know, Spike Albrecht had a great game in the first half, 17 points. Then he was held scoreless in the second half. It's kind of like one of those guys they pop up on a scouting report, and you're like, we didn't know he can do this. Once Louisville locked in defensively, he started to rush a little bit. And look, I don't know, if I'm Trey Burke and I'm National Player of the Year, and I get my second foul at the 11-minute mark, and I'm seeing this lead being built, and then I'm starting to see this lead crumble a little bit, I'm like, John Beilein, get me back in the ball game. You have to trust in your National Player of the Year, your best player, to get back in the game and not commit his third foul.
I agree. I don't. Look, it's easy to second guess, but that's our job. That's what we do. And I can't imagine wanting Trey Burke sitting next to me the whole first half. I'd rather risk him getting the foul than staying on the bench that whole first half. You want him in the game because you got one shot at this. You got to go for it. And I didn't think they went for it in the first half. And I thought that really cost him because of Luke Hancock knocking down those 4 threes in the first half. All of a sudden, it's a 1-point game at halftime. And you felt like it was Louisville's game going into the half.
And also, Michigan, sorry, Coach, Michigan, great basketball team. But you start to see how much they rely upon Trey Burke to make everybody else look good. I mean, Mitch McGarry, we were talking about him in the semifinal game being a top 15 lottery pick. But then when you start to break how plays are breaking down, he's being a receiver off Trey Burke's assist. When you ask him to put the ball on the post, he shied away from contact, and we expected the opposite. We expected him to embrace the contact.
I think that had a little bit to do with Louisville's game plan, number one. But if I'm John Beilein and I'm sitting here watching that first half, I'm saying, you know what, Spike Albrecht, he's making shots. We're maintaining this lead, and all of a sudden, bang, 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 Luke Hancock, he knocks down those 4 threes in about a minute and a half. It's not like he had a lot of time to react to that situation. So if you're John Beilein, you're saying, you know what, we're in pretty good shape. And then all of a sudden, Luke Hancock, he gets it going. But when you talk about Mitch McGarry, to me...
Any coach with multiple titles now. Seth, I know you already think he's a great coach. He would have been a great coach if Michigan had won the game tonight. But how does this change things now that Pitino is a multiple championship winner and also has the unique distinction of doing it at Kentucky and at Louisville?
I think he's in a very unique class. And think about Rick Pitino. It's not just Rick Pitino's championships. What about Billy Donovan's two? His assistant has 2 championships. Tubby Smith has 1 championship. Even Scott Davenport, who was an assistant to Tim, has a Division II championship. So when you look at his legacy, not just winning championships at Kentucky and Louisville, which is really, if you think about it, that's pretty crazy. I mean, how many people would expect a guy to win a championship at the University of Kentucky and the University of Louisville? But the way he's won these championships, I think the one thing about Rick is he's an innovator. I mean, he really has created a brand of how he wants his team to play basketball.
Reaction to the Louisville title.
Tonight, without a doubt, was one of the great NCAA championship games I've ever seen. It was unbelievable. Had all the drama, had everything you'd want in a game. Unsung heroes. Think about the first half. Michigan jumps out to a 12-point lead. How do they get the 12-point lead? The performance by an unsung hero, Spike Albrecht, a kid that averaged about 1 point a game, scored 17. His high during the year was 7. He gets 17, and then all of a sudden, Michigan's up 12, and here comes Luke Hancock off the bench. What about 4 big threes? He gets Louisville back in the game. Game is on. They're down 1 at halftime. Second half, what about the performance by Peyton Siva and Shane Behannon? They were fantastic. Gordy Jang did a great job negating the unbelievable play of Mitch McGarry. It was just a phenomenal game, and you think about it, now Rick Pitino stands tall as the only coach to win 2 national titles at 2 different schools. I was in awe sitting at courtside for ESPN International with Brad Nessler making his call. The passion, the pride, the intensity, the offensive efficiency, the defensive stops. The game had everything you wanted, especially if you're a Louisville fan.